Good evening from Albany, Georgia. It's your Division II National Showcase here as Albany State hosts the Tigers of Benedict, who have made the 5.5-hour trip via bus from Columbia, South Carolina. The story today, clearly, is the weather. We welcome you up into the booth, Darren Goldwater and the former Chiefs receiver, Mark Bowrichter. This game was scheduled to be a 2 o'clock kick. Then Tropical Storm Nestor kind of threw that in flux yesterday, pushed back until 5 o'clock. As we got closer to the 5 o'clock kickoff, we've had now 3 different lightning delays, finally ready to go. And ironically, with the lightning delays, there wasn't a whole lot of rain, Mark. Now it is pouring. How does it affect the game?
Well, I mentioned before, the field was already saturated from the amount of rain we've had all day today, and it's been kind of spotty. And then it really kind of went away during the lightning delays. And then all of a sudden here, about 5 minutes before the teams are ready to take the field again, this is what the field looks like now. We have had an absolute deluge of rain. There's standing water on the field in certain areas. It's definitely going to affect the game today. However, you got, Albany State, who's going to run the football quite a bit. And Benedict's searching for an identity offensively today. And so I think, this game is going to be won on the ground today in some capacity because of how much water is out there on the field right now.
Benedict comes into this game at 0-5, but they have been in almost every game. Last week they were right there with Miles, the reigning champ in the SIAC, but couldn't hold on to it even though they started to play even better. Emergence of a freshman quarterback, maybe a little bit more balanced. On the other side, Albany State, winners of 4 straight, trying to keep their momentum going here today.
Well, it is. It's a tale of 2 different seasons right here for these 2 teams. And Benedict is searching for an offensive identity. They started a true freshman a week ago at quarterback. We're expecting to probably see him here again today. And Albany State just wants to keep the train rolling down the tracks right now. Winners of 4 straight, keep themselves in the driver's seat for an opportunity at a conference championship game again this year.
All right. Should be an entertaining game. Players hit the field, and we're having a lot of fun. I don't know how much fun the game will be, but warm-ups, they both enjoyed it. Your D2 showcase coming up. Benedict Tigers, the Golden Rams of Albany State.
Delmonico, that's how steak is done. Longhorn Steakhouse, you can't fake steak.
This telecast is presented by the NCAA Division II President's Council. Welcome to NCAA Division II, where the pursuit of excellence is yours to create. In Division II, student-athletes excel academically, athletically, and in the community for life after graduation. The opportunities are endless. Make it yours. An SIAC battle here where the Golden Rams will receive the opening kick, and that is Mike White. Around these parts, he is a legend. It's now his 5th year at Benedict. Prior to this year, he had won back-to-back winning seasons. That was the first time it's happened for the Tigers since they brought football back in 1995. The reason he's a legend here in Albany, Georgia, check it out. 7 times he went to the NCAA Division II playoffs. 5 times he was a Coach of the Year. Twice he was an All-American. Mark, certainly some odd feelings for him, though he says he'll just kind of push those to the side.
Well, I don't really believe him. When I asked him earlier this week whether even after 5 years now at Benedict, whether this game means any more to him, and he said no, it's just another football game. And I really have a hard time believing that with the amount of time in his alma mater he spent here as a coach, as a player, and everything around Mike White speaks Albany State, but he's now at Benedict and having a successful run there.
So Benedict will kick off here. That is Rigoberto Tinoco, a sophomore from Lyons, Georgia here. And deep to return, Antavius Cobb is back there. Typically, Albany State would have Mike Green back, one of their most electrifying playmakers, but he is injured today. They hope to have him back at some point this season, although the prognosis is far from certain. Wet field, wet ball, Tropical Storm Nestor long gone, but the rain is here as Rashad Jordan gets the ball out shy of the 40-yard line here for the Golden Rams. Coach Gardenia came here from Charleston Southern. That's an FCS program just outside of downtown Charleston. It is in Ladson, South Carolina. But close enough to the beaches, but it doesn't really matter for Coach G. He said this is where he feels more at home. His wife and 3 kids enjoy it here more than Charleston, because they like the small town, and this place is crazy about their football. His quarterback is Banu, a true freshman who was unbeaten as a starter. McKinley Habersham gets the opening carry and has a first down. Pick up a 12 out to midfield.
One nice pickup on first down. We're going to see McKinley Habersham all game long. Tracy Scott as well. They're going to mix it up with about 4 or 5 different running backs throughout the course of this game with this option style of offense.
Habersham will touch it a bunch. Tracy Scott will as well. Their numbers are virtually identical, number 4 and number 22. So here's Habersham once again, trying to make his way through the big bodies there, including Josh Siosi, Wendell Bing, and Rashad Miller in this 3-4 look. Redshirt freshman out of Atlanta took over in the second half of the West Georgia game. They upset the Wolves. At the time, the Wolves were ranked. And as a starter, Deontay Banu is undefeated now, coming off his best game of his young career. 11 out of 14 last week, couple of touchdown passes. The option pitch, and out of bounds goes Rashad Jordan. Jordan, too, coming off his best career game as the recipient as a receiver from Banu.
But one of the things defensively you have to do to defend the option is play some disciplined football on the outside in that perimeter running game. That time, nobody on the perimeter for Benedict and just a wide open run near the first down.
The Golden Rams are averaging 331 yards of offense. They are number 20 nationally at the Division II level in terms of rushing offense. Here's Jordan slipping 1, now 2, and man, does he take a shot from COC. 6'6", 283 is the listed size of the senior who put him down.
Well, he took a shot at the end of this play, but Christopher Reed knifes in from his linebacker spot and almost makes this play right in the backfield right here. But we're starting to see the weather conditions already come into play. The jerseys are slick. It's difficult to wrap up and make tackles. And Albany State moves the chains once again.
How hard is it? You played in the NFL for a bunch of years, then up in Canada as well, where you saw your fair share of weather. How hard is it to adjust to these conditions?
You know what? I think it's harder for coaches to go ahead and adjust to it and the way their game plan is set up. You go in all week. Now, they knew a little bit coming into this week that the weather could be an issue, but later in the week it really manifested itself. You start putting that game plan in early in the week, Sunday night, Monday, into Tuesday and Wednesday, and now you kind of have to adjust it on the fly as you go. So I think it's more difficult for coaches. As players, you just come out and play.
Habersham's been carrying the load most of the time here.
Well, he's carrying the load, did a nice job of staying on his feet, keeping those legs moving. We had another first down.
And we have an injured Tiger. And we will step aside. It is COC who will require the medical attention. We'll get you back to soggy ASU Coliseum after this. We told you Habersham and Scott, virtually identical numbers entering today. Mark, how about this? Both of them almost right at 390 here.
Yeah, really, almost 800 yards between the two of them. 8 touchdowns coming in. It's a two-headed monster for Albany State at running back, and we talked about the option style of offense, but they're going to run it right down your throat with a little power football as well, and they've got 2 guys right there that they feel really comfortable getting the ball to.
DeBerry was your motion man, and now here is the run through the middle. That'll pick up about 2 yards here for Albany State. Winners of 4 games in a row. Starting to feel pretty good about themselves and make a push towards what would be a 3rd consecutive SIAC championship game appearance. If they can make it, it'll be right here, hopefully in some better conditions, but it'll be at the home of the SIAC Eastern Division champs. Jordan has come in motion a couple times. First time the slick ball has hit the ground, and on his second effort, Banu is able to recover for the Golden Rams.
Well, you mentioned it in the open, Darren. The weather conditions and the mesh points here with this offense. You saw it come into play right here. And look how hard it is to just get to corral this football. It's still moving around on that wet turf. You see the standing water splashing around. We're going to see the ball on the turf, I have a feeling, a lot today. And a lot of pileups. It's ball security and turnovers today are going to be a key.
Sometimes you'll hear, Mark, when the field is slick, it's an advantage to the offense. What about when it's a mud pit? Does it neutralize things?
I think it neutralizes it all the way around, but it really becomes a battle of the big boys up front. Who can get lower and have better leverage in terms of either getting some push from the defensive line or getting push offensive line-wise. Becomes a battle of the big boys, and they love it down in there in those trenches when you get this kind of weather. This is an offensive lineman's dream.
Albany State took the timeout. I think that will also become a factor in this game as guys are slower to get up off the pile. You can see right there they were pointing, the players were, at the play clock, and it was them who kind of encouraged the coaching staff to take that timeout.
Yeah, absolutely. The field conditions are going to play a big part throughout the course of the day. It's harder to get up off the ground when you're laying in a pile of water, in a puddle of water. It happens. It takes a little longer to get off pile, unpack those bodies underneath there. Of course, anytime they're after the football there, too, guys are pulling and punching and doing all kinds of stuff underneath that pile to try to get that football out.
3rd down and 11 here for the Golden Rams, who converted 4 of their 11 tries in their victory last week over Lane. It'll be the first pass attempt for Banu, who fires it low. And it'll be 4th down.
Well, this is really a coverage play by Benedict's defense. Did a nice job, really a 2-man route. The backside post. And just a go route. And then leaking the receiver over the middle. Nowhere with Banu to go really with that football. It's going to force Albany State to punt.
Look at this. That's an important point. They're at the 32. The punter, Belinas, is just outside the 45. This is going to be a field position game, isn't it?
It's going to be a field position game. Special teams come big into play here. Your kicking game comes big into play. And look at this. This ball
Perfectly done. Benedict will take over at their 8-yard line. The Tigers' first offensive possession of the day.
Steak.
First offensive possession now for the Tigers in a game that got underway at 5:57. Almost an hour after it was scheduled at 5. This is Eric Phoenix, true freshman, making his first career start. Welcome to college football. Here's your first career start, and it is tough sledding as Raheem Jennings is spun down there in the backfield. It's Comba Jones who is up to make the hit.
There, and Eric Phoenix comes in, making his second career start, as you mentioned, really looking at it. 2 touchdowns a week ago. Did a nice job coming in. They need a spark offensively, and talking to Coach White this week, they're going to give him a start here. He's a big left-hander as a freshman to try to get something going. He's a little bit better thrower than Phillip Brown, who's been a little banged up, who was their starting quarterback. But we'll see today here if these conditions negate what Benedict wants to do offensively.
He did have a good game last week. Here's Jennings lowering his shoulder into Tyler Scott there. You're going to hear a lot from number 21, Tyler Scott, who came up to make that hit as Jennings positions him for a manageable 3rd down.
Well, defensively, their 2 leading tacklers are their free safety and strong safety, and typically you don't like that to be the case. But they are aggressive playing toward the line of scrimmage, and we've seen it here on the first 3 plays on defense for Albany State.
Brendan Kimball, who transferred in from Georgia Southern, now an FBS program. You can see, watch Jennings after this hit, Mark. He slides backwards.
Albany State is going to play downhill defensively. They're going to come after it because they know Benedict wants to establish the running game. And these guys are just having fun playing in these conditions on both sides of the ball right now.
They're coming after the punter as well. Eubanks gets this one off and rolls it to the freshman Jordan. Jordan loses the football. And there are 4 or 5 Tigers all around it. It'll be Benedict ball at midfield.
Well, Darren, this is one way you play the field position game. You get a good kick. It was a great punt in these conditions to get that out. It was almost blocked. As we take a look at it, this ball rolls, but you really got to hold on to the football as a returner or as a skill position guy. When you've got it in your hands today, 2 hands on the football, you know it's going to squirt out. Benedict does a great job of getting down there and then pouncing on it. And I mentioned the field position. It's just like a long pass play. You get the turnover, but now you got the ball at midfield.
Gerald Smith, their 91, not only recovered the fumble, he forced it. So now the true freshman has a little bit more breathing room. He also has Tyrone Turner Jr., 27, now out of the backfield in motion. Phoenix scans through, hits his man for a short gain, and that'll be Danye Washington's 9th reception of the year.
Well, before the game, I was down watching Eric Phoenix warm up, and I was really impressed with his arm strength for throwing the ball out to the field. He's got a lot of zip on his passes, and you saw it right there out to Washington.
Bring in some size in Jeremy Johnson, the 270-pound fullback there. And they come ahead with Turner. Big space for Turner, and he drags Tyler Scott forward, enough for a first down inside the 40.
You mentioned the big fullback, Jeremy Jensen, inside. Great block. They're going to run right behind him every single chance they get. Big number 48, you're going to see, goes and gets a nice block on the ISO and then was able to pounce it out to the outside.
Benedict has had trouble getting the ball to the edge with the mud being as it is. Does it neutralize it that maybe they can get outside?
I think it does neutralize your speed a little bit. The other thing is because your defensive ends who are trying to set the edge, or your outside linebackers in the 3-4 style of defense trying to set the edge on the outside, don't have as good a footing. You mentioned it before. Offensively, you know where you're going. You can kind of dictate the pace and dictate what you want to do. The defense has to react to what you're doing offensively. So if you can get some positive yardage, get it outside, start mixing it up, and be effective and efficient with it, it opens up your playbook to do more.
You see what amounts to a hockey line change there for the defensive line. That's something Gabe Gardena said he thinks is one of the strengths of his defense. He plays about 11 guys on that defensive line. And there is, I believe, Brendan Kimball there to make the stop again. Yeah, 45's been all over the place, and now a late flag.
Flag on the field.
Still trying to sort it out. It could be an unsportsmanlike penalty here if they're going to the pad.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 21, defense, 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run, automatic first down. This is number 21, first unsportsmanlike conduct foul towards disqualification.
Mark, that's a guy, Tyler Scott, who his head coach said is kind of like our sheriff on defense.
Well, he's the leader of the defense. He gets them lined up. But it's a costly penalty as it gives Benedict a first down.
Man in motion, they bluff it to him. Straight ahead, Tyrone Turner. And it's Brendan Kimball again, 230-pound, fifth-year senior, who has made about 4 or 5 stops on this opening drive.
He's made 4 or 5 stops. He's been in there wreaking havoc defensively. The last play, they brought Draylon Freeman in motion as the wide receiver. He's a big play guy, a lot of speed. Used him as a decoy on that inside handoff.
Benedict has averaged just 91 yards a game on the ground and 215 yards of offense overall. Their defense has always been Mike White's calling card and has been again this year. Phoenix to throw on second down, and he drifts it out of bounds. He wanted Elzy, the Marshall transfer. kind of the deep threat to bring up third down.
Well, I think Eric Phoenix is lucky that ball sailed out of bounds because Albany State was in a two-deep safety look with Comba Jones over top in coverage. Really no window to throw that football into.
The wind isn't that bad. There were thoughts that it could be up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts, which is why the game was pushed back to 5 o'clock. Now they're only breezing at about 5 miles an hour. Here's a flag now on Benedict.
False start. Number 9, offense. 5-yard penalty. Remain third down.
There, we're going to see what happens here on this third down, but now it's 3rd and 15 instead of 3rd and 10. And now you may have backed yourself with the way the weather conditions are out of field goal range as the rain starts to come down again.
If you can see the rain that clearly on your screens, you know it is big drops pouring down. Jennings almost lost it on the handoff, somehow wiggles his way through that line, but is just going to be back to about the initial line of scrimmage here to bring up 4th down.
Well, I like the play call to go to Jennings inside. Try to pick up as many yards as you can. There in these 6 yards that they just picked up on this play could be huge as they're coming out and lining up for a field goal.
Tinoco is just 1 out of 2 on the year. His range is about out to 35 yards, which is where we are here, straight away. Snap handled well. That ball was deflected at the line. I think it was Deshaun Rosser, number 7, who got his hand on it. But after fumbling a punt at midfield to allow Benedict's possession to continue, the Golden Rams defense stiffens. A timeout on this rainy night in Albany.
Limited time, 14-ounce Delmonico. That's how steak is done. Longhorn Steakhouse. You can't fake steak.
Mark, it's Deontay Jackson, 93, who blocks this field goal attempt.
Well, it's Deontay Jackson. He's their best defensive lineman. You see him get off the ground. That's all 5'9" of him, by the way, Jared. Out there using his vertical to get that hand in the kick point and do a nice job.
Coach G loved him when he was talking to us about him. They'll go back to Habersham, who's chased down by Christopher Reed, the true freshman linebacker.
Habersham on the carry for the Rams.
The coach told us this week, he goes, when you see him, he's like, he's our best defensive lineman. You're not going to know that he's our best defensive lineman because he's only 5'9". But he comes into this game leading them in tackles for loss and sacks, making a big play on special teams.
He said he's quick as a hiccup. It's an analogy I think I can take with me. Not to describe myself. Once again, here's Habersham. Good cut for Habersham, and he's off to the races. Can he keep it inside the 10? Touchdown. Joshua Hayward caught him, but went for the strip. It's an 80-yard touchdown run for McKinley Habersham, and Albany State's on the board.
Well, Albany State is going to pound the rock and pound the rock. They ran an inside fullback belly the previous play. Just going to run power straight up the middle, inside zone here, I guess it was, sorry, to Habersham. Finds a crease, and there's nobody there to fill the running lane and the run fit. And then it's just a race to the end zone. Comba Jones does a nice job of trying to strip the football there in that situation, especially with these weather conditions. Or excuse me, that was Joshua Hayward on defense for Benedict. But Albany State strikes first in the running game.
So it's not a turnover chain for Albany State. Not sure what they call it, but a long touchdown run chain. For Habersham, his longest run of the year for the fifth-year senior out of Savannah. twice as long as his previous long of 38. Gets a little bit of help, fix those shoulder pads. Typically, in this conference, Mark, the SIAC games are very well attended. It is year in and year out the top conference in Division II attendance. You wouldn't know it today, but you can't fault them today either. It's a monsoon out there.
Well, it's an absolute monsoon, and my assumption is that everybody that would be at this game right now due to the weather is watching us.
I think it might be a safe assumption. All right, here we go from the 5. Here's McGreer, and he will pick up maybe 17 on that return. One of the strengths for the Tigers is their kickoff return game. One of the strengths for the Golden Rams, their kick coverage. And the Rams win that one.
Well, you mentioned their strength. Albany State comes in number 1 in the conference in kickoff coverage. Benedict number 1 in kickoff return.
So here's Eric Phoenix. Went to Windsor Forest High School. That's in the Savannah area.
Quarterback D. Quarterback.
Kenneth Robinson, the fullback in there. Here's Draylon Freeman. Big play threat for the Tigers. Gets the edge. And now it's a foot race for the Tigers, and he's out of bounds. He walks his way out with Tyler Scott bearing down. And the second time we've seen an official hit the deck in this mud.
Well, Draylon Freeman's been banged up a little bit. Coach Mike White told us he's one of their best big play wide receivers, and they're going to give him the ball on jet sweeps. And Darren, stretching the field laterally in the running game with your wide receivers, we talked about it. Get to the perimeter, use the speed to get to the outside. That's how you can get chunk yardage on days like this.
Good sign for the Tigers. Second offensive possession. Second time they've got the ball into Golden Rams territory. Jennings plows straight ahead, and it's Brendan Kimball again, 45. First one to get him. He wrapped the ankles. Early on, Mark, game plan is clear for the Tigers. We're coming straight at you.
Well, they're going to come right at you. Coach Mike White, even they start in the freshman quarterback and want to throw it, try to get a spark, they want to establish a running game. They just have struggled this year to really get in a rhythm offensively. But this is the type of football they want to play, downhill, in your face, and establish a running game.
How about that hit? Jennings goes airborne, and he is stuck.
Guess who? Number 45, Brandon Kimball, coming up from his linebacker positions, just scrapes over the top, holds his ground.
He's a man amongst boys out there so far in this opening quarter. Both teams seem to have some difficulty getting in formation and their plays down. Again, here's Jennings straight ahead. Couldn't get him at the ankles, and he moves forward close to the first down. I think he's going to have it, and we've got a flag that comes in late along the Albany State sideline.
Well, difficulty for Albany State getting lined up. And they're going to run power to the left-hand side. Jennings does a nice job, as you mentioned, staying on his feet. I think we're going to have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I believe it's on Braylon Elsie, the wide receiver, who's mixing it up on the sidelines a little bit after the play.
Trying to be certain of the number. Larry Neal is your white hat.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 8, offense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. The results of the play is a first down. This is number 8, first unsportsmanlike conduct foul towards disqualification.
It's not always the first guy gets caught. You see Elzy kind of got a hand in the face before he reacted.
And then he just kept pushing him out of bounds and pushing him. It's always the second guy, it seems like, that gets caught in those situations.
Jennings spins off the first hit. Comba Jones makes sure he doesn't get away this time.
But penalties in inopportune times have been a struggle for Benedict this year. That's one right there. You're starting to move the football a little bit. You got the big play to Draylon Freeman on the explosive running play on the jet sweep. Then you're backing yourself up another 15 yards for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Benedict has thrown the ball twice. They had a completion on the edge to Danye Washington and an incompletion looking for Elzy in the end zone on their opening drive. And now Jennings slips, but he's able to get that handoff as Jones once again up from his safety spot for the tackle. And the ball came out in that pile.
The ball came out, but it looks like they're going to rule this that he was down. Possibly.
No decision yet from Larry Neal.
Third down.
Forward progress was stopped, as you heard from Larry Neal, and that brings the first quarter to a close. Both teams slogging it out here. The rain that is part of what was once Tropical Storm Nestor, still quite a problematic system as it moves its way up the coast, especially here in Albany. Golden Rams by a touchdown.
What would you like the power to do?
Hands up, D! Hands up!
Benedict has dominated time of possession here, and they've got it on third down as we begin the second quarter. And not a lot of room for Turner. Alongside the former Kansas City chief receiver, Mark Bowrichter. Darren Goldwater with you from a rain-soaked ASU Coliseum, about 3 hours, southeast of Atlanta, Georgia.
But right now, Albany State defensively in their 3-4 is winning the battle with their linebackers, Darren, getting up into the running lanes and really controlling what Benedict's doing offensively.
See if this punt rolls at all. It doesn't roll enough. It stops at the one, perfectly placed for the Tigers. And the Golden Rams will start there as Jared Eubanks uses the mud to his advantage. And a 99-yard field coming up for Albany State.
The one thing as a punter, if you can get some hang time today and let that ball kind of come straight down, it's not going to roll. It's just going to skid on the turf. But nice job by Benedict's punt coverage team to keep that from going across the goal line and back in Albany State up here.
The lone score in the opening quarter was an 80-yard touchdown run for number 4, who trots out there, Habersham. His 5th touchdown of the year and longest run of the season by nearly twice as many yards. Big fullback DeBerry is the motion man as Habersham gets it again. Did he get out? Yes, is the ruling. Just barely avoids the safety as the hit came in from Collins Tensley, 44.
Well, Tensley makes his tackle, but this play is also made by Trevante Brown, the second-team All-American corner right here, coming up with run force on the outside. And Albany State very fortunate that they ruled that down just inside the 1.
They'll take a break, but does it backfire on them? Because the Tigers have an opportunity for a touchdown or at least a safety. They'll get that as Albany State recovers the fumble. COC 99, 17 in there as well, Tim Allen. And the Tigers are on the board. They'll get the ball back as well. So if at first you don't succeed, Mark, come right back at them. 7-2 game early on in the second. All right, Mark, here's the first chance at a safety.
Well, the first chance at a safety, good force position on the outside, as I mentioned, from Trevante Brown. And as you so eloquently put it as we went to break, if at first you don't succeed, try again. These weather conditions down in there deep in their own territory make it extremely difficult. And Benedict was selling out. They really had their safeties at about 4 or 5 yards, knowing that Albany State was going to try to run the ball. Albany State fortunate, though, that they only have the 2-point safety, as that ball could have been recovered, of course, by Benedict for a touchdown. So if you're Benedict, you're happy with the safety, you get the ball back. If you're Albany State, you're happy you only gave up 2 points in that situation.
A lot of times you'll see teams punt after giving up a safety. Instead, here's the kickoff to the dangerous man, Freeman. And Freeman will have excellent field position here for the Tigers. For all the latest news, stats, rankings, and more, visit NCAA.com. NCAA.com is the official online home for all 25 NCAA Division II championships. The Tigers are winless on the year, but thus far have been able to move the ball at times, pounding it through the middle, and set up their safety with a punt that died at the 1, maybe even inside of the 1. And their offense has its best starting field position of the day. Every time the Tigers have touched it, Mark, they have been inside of Albany State territory. True freshman Phoenix. Jennings powers his way through to the third level. And he is just short of the first down.
Well, this is what Benedict needs to do. They need to take advantage when Albany State's in a 2-deep safety look. And they've got them outnumbered inside the box to run the football effectively. So far in the first half, Albany State's linebackers have been able to fill the holes, but right there, a nice 9-yard gain on first down, and this is what they want to be in. Short and manageable.
Jennings, it may have been manageable as a flag comes in, but he got blown up in the backfield. Brendan Manuel was able to slide through and make that play.
This is in the area of holding.
Holding, number 74, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
Been working on that offensive line, Mark, all year long. It's been the issue for Benedict. A lot of young guys playing. Freshmen, redshirt freshmen.
Well, they've played a lot of young guys, and really their leader is a junior in the at the center position in Brian McNeil. It's been the one area offensively that they've really felt that they need to improve on as this season goes along. They're getting better. They're getting more and more confidence. But just about the amount of football opportunities those boys have had to play up there.
Jones and Scott combine on that tackle, and it picks up 2 yards.
Holding, number 3, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
As you may have guessed, watching the first few moments of this quarter and the first quarter as well, Benedict is one of the more penalized teams at the Division II level. How hard is it in these conditions, Mark? The rain has stopped for the most part, but everything around you is wet. How hard is it to hold your positioning on the line?
Well, it's difficult. You've just got to be more fundamentally sound with your hand placement. As an offensive lineman, you've got to keep your feet in short, choppier steps. You can't get outside your own framework with your footwork.
Slick ball through the hands of the freshman Phoenix, and he covers that one up. We remind you, this possession started at their own 49-yard line following a safety in the kickoff. And it is now about to be third down and, I don't know, a trip to Atlanta here.
It's at least a trip to Valdosta from here, for sure. And this is not what Benedict wanted. You know, you get a good return after the safety. You have some momentum on your side. And now you're going the wrong direction because of the penalties and then the missed snap.
Third and 36. Jonathan Knox, the freshman, gets a couple of those yards back. And the Golden Rams have an opportunity here for some solid field position.
All right, fans, let's hear it for that dirty blue defense.
Benedict has had some issues punting. Eubanks, the punter, used to be a linebacker, but he rips one off like a true punter. Ball down at the 20. It's a 48-yard boot there from Eubanks. Golden Rams ball, 10.5 to play in the second. That's our score as Albany State gets set to touch it here for what seems like the first time in a while. They ran 2 plays and it resulted in a safety. But really, time of possession has been largely in the hands of the Tigers as Habersham is upended after a pickup of just a few yards. Javante Brown there coming in at the ankles. If you're wondering how wet it is, just listen in for a second. You can hear the feet.
That's why he is.
When they rolled, they went one high. They were too high before. When they went motion, they went one high. Drop the
Banu, one of the few carries that is not Habersham. That one is Folks, true freshman out of Powder Springs, Georgia. And it'll be third down.
Well, the conditions today are going to make it difficult to throw the ball whatsoever. Albany State, as we mentioned, loves to keep the ball on the ground anyway. They love being in situations like this, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, with an opportunity to sustain drives.
Golden Rams take the play clock inside 10. Here comes pressure from Collins Tinsley, 44. And Banu scampers out of bounds around the line of scrimmage. Maybe even lost a yard. It'll be 4th down. You can see it. If you can get to the edge, it's hard to turn that corner to then head upfield. Guys are just angling their way out. They don't have the footing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of confidence with the players right now with their own footing. You get to the perimeter, you can't really stick that outside foot in the ground to get back north and south running the ball. Makes it extremely difficult.
Here's Bolinas, who gets that one away, and it's secured by McGuire. Here's what you need to know about the Benedict Tigers. They hail from Columbia, South Carolina, where it has been raining all day long up there. At one point, they disbanded football. It came back in 1995. They've got 16 sports split between men and women evenly, and an enrollment of about 2,200. And they went out and pulled all the necessary strings to get Mike White to Columbia. after all of his success as both a player, an assistant, and then a head coach. A coaching career on the Albany State sidelines here for 30 years. His task has been to get the Tigers program rolling. And it really had been moving the right way until this year. Nice little slide step there, and then a fumble with a flag down. But I believe Turner was down first as he grabs that left leg. Mark, they really like this Turner from Dickinson, Texas, true freshman, who's been getting more carries today than he has in previous games. We'll step aside as the medical staff checks on Tyrone Turner.
To help turn your ambitions into action. What would you like the power to do?
A look at the current top 10 for the coaches poll. Valdosta State about to kick with Florida Tech. Valdosta State with one of the longest winning streaks in the country at any level. Unbeaten national champs last year, still unbeaten this year. And most of the top 10 remains unbeaten as well, except for Northwest Missouri State. Mark, you know them well. Nebraska Kearney knocked them off today 24-17.
Yeah, that's a tough loss for Northwest Missouri State against Nebraska Kearney. They've been on the rise a little bit in the MIAA conference as Nebraska Kearney. But that's a shocking loss for Northwest Missouri State on the road today.
Lenore-Rhyne stayed unbeaten. They've got a huge showdown in the South Atlantic Conference in 2 weeks with Wingate, but Wingate lost today. On the pursuit with the sack, John Kelly, who transferred in from Shepherd University, another Division II stalwart program.
You're going to see John Kelly just come unblocked right here. A little miscommunication up front. Win the protection by Benedict's offensive line. They just turned him loose. Left Eric Phoenix no shot back there.
Rain had stopped for a minute. It is rolling again now. It makes you wonder what if this game was played in its original start time at 2 o'clock. But with extreme safety precautions yesterday, it was pushed back to 5. That was before the tropical storm shifted its track just a little bit.
Benedict is going to call a timeout here as they're running out of time on the play clock.
Their first time out here at this half.
That's the timeout for the Benedict College Tigers.
The lone touchdown on the board, courtesy of McKinley Habersham. And it didn't take much for him, Mark.
No, it didn't take much. Just good job up front on the right-hand side of getting some movement and opening up a little bit of space for Habersham to get through. And that's all he needed. Into the secondary for the touchdown, and you see the official, the side judge, slipping down there as well. It's been that kind of night with the footing for everybody involved.
Are officials allowed to wear spikes on the sideline? Are they allowed to wear cleats to help out their footing? They can. Okay. This is what Benedict has largely relied on. Jennings powering his way straight through the middle.
Jennings on the carry for the Tigers.
Pierre, number 30, first man through to make the play.
Stop after a short gain. That'll bring up a third down.
Well, I love the aggressiveness that Albany State has in their linebacking core, Darren, so far tonight. They are playing downhill. And by downhill, I mean they are coming toward the line of scrimmage. They know Benedict wants to establish the run. They know with the field conditions they can be aggressive. And you saw Stephen Pierre right there read it and just come up and make the play.
Here's Jennings with a flag down. Quickly, Deontay Jackson there to make the stop. He told us, gonna love the quickness of the 5'9" Jackson.
So we have a flag on the play.
Well, the lateral quickness of Deontay Jackson just really pops off the screen when you watch him play.
Rain has forced Larry Neal's mic to go out on us as well. It was a legal motion. It was declined. So Benedict will punt it away. Pretty good boot here. Albany State hasn't gone for either of the two punts that have been struck well over their heads, just letting it go. So they'll start about their own 17. How about what you need to know about Albany State? Well, they're in Albany, Georgia. It is the birthplace of Ray Charles, did you know? Founded in the early 1900s, about double the enrollment of Benedict, and a few fewer sports as well. Coming up at the half, we'll learn a little bit more about this athletic program. The interim athletic director will be with us, Jacqueline Nicholson. And she can get us set on some of the fall sports here for Albany State. Coach Giardina dropped those opening two games. Of course, one to Valdosta State, the top team in the country. And then a hiccup against Mississippi College before this team got rolling, despite its injuries. They're without 6 starters, some of them potentially the entire year. That's why Habersham has taken almost every carry today for the Golden Rams, and we haven't seen Tracy Scott, but Habersham picks up the first down there.
Well, Albany State up front is just taking advantage of moving bodies out of the way, and Habersham doesn't need much of a space to get through. They're getting up to the second level on the linebackers with their combo blocks, and it's allowing Habersham to run loose into the second level.
Breaks one off to the outside, and he is caught one of the few times that on the edge a play has been made. And there's a flag in as well. Tim Allen's the one who got there.
This is going to be a holding call, I believe, on the left guard. Raymond Thomas was working against Rashad Miller. Right at the point of the run.
Number 72 offense, Raymond Thomas there. Mark, I thought we got lucky. I thought the worst of it was gone, the rain. And that's why I am a broadcaster who is not a meteorologist.
Well, just when the rain starts to let up, as you can see, it's about as heavy as it's been now over the course of this game.
Jordan, the motion man, as Habersham tries to get back towards the line of scrimmage, but can't do that as COC. I tell you what, it's not easy to make yourself small when you're 283 at your listed weight, but COC has done it a couple times to get through the middle of that line.
Well, he's done a nice job, but this play was really made by the penetration of number 50, Wendell Bing, who, by the way, is 300 pounds himself. Did a nice job of knifing inside and allowing COC to make the tackle.
COC was hurt on the opening drive. Took him a while to get off the field, but has been back in the backfield since. Second down and long. Now going to be longer as Banu retreats and then slides down after picking up the loose ball. This is just a battle of attrition, isn't it?
It is. It's a battle of attrition, and it's going to be a battle of field position. We talked about this in the first quarter a little bit. If you get some decent field position, you've got to try to sustain a drive and put something together. The only touchdown we've seen so far was the big run by Habersham. Or you need that explosive play like Albany State got in the first quarter from it.
Now another injury timeout, and this is the unfortunate side effect, if you will, aside from just the play of the game and how the weather can affect that. But Mark, when you don't have the footing, when guys around you don't have their footing, injuries can be a result. We'll step aside. Medical staff unfortunately busy so far here in the first half. Bing was up pretty quickly, which was a good sign, off the field under his own power. And it is now 3rd down and about 30. And again, Banu can't handle it. Habersham is down. Smartly, you could see him try to get that right knee down before he was pushed back into the end zone. So this possession has now lost almost 25 yards.
Good, Aaron. I'm going to bring something up right here with the field conditions the way they are. You're Albany State. You're up 7-2. You're going to punt deep in your own territory here. You might consider just taking a safety, making it 7-4, and play the field position game. With the way the ball has been coming out on snaps.
You could see McGuire's feet as he's getting ready to receive this punt. They just sink into the turf. Skips out into Benedict territory, so it'll be about a 50-yard punt.
Ball is down on the Tigers.
Mark, look at this. He takes a step and sinks.
Yeah, you can see it's soft. It was soft pregame when I was out there, and that was before all this rain really came down here over the course of the game. It's extremely spongy. It's extremely saturated.
Division II provides more than 119,000 student athletes the opportunity to compete at a high level of scholarship athletics while excelling in the classroom and through community engagement. Learn more about Division II's Life in the Balance philosophy at ncaa.org/D2. See if the Tigers can put something together here. But not on the opening play from scrimmage. First carry for Jaden McLeod, a freshman out of Jacksonville. They really think he's got a bright future, don't they?
Well, I think he's got a really big future, and they've got a couple running backs that they like. You know, Jennings gets a lot of the publicity, but Jaden McLeod is a guy that they want to try to get the ball to more here as the year goes along.
He went to Bowles High School. Down in Jacksonville. That's where Tebow went. Is that still a fair reference now that Tebow is a baseball player and an analyst?
I suppose that's still a fair reference. It's still relevant.
I think so.
Still broadcasting and doing some college football as well.
And it makes it a 3rd down and about 12 for the Tigers.
Tigers have been slogging it out here, but only have 15 yards on the ground. And are 1 for 4 here on 3rd down. Back to McLeod, and like lightning into the backfield.
Let's hear it for that 31 defense.
That was Rawlings in for the tackle.
Right now, Albany State only had 6 guys in the box. And Benedict just has to be able to take advantage of that. They were in a heavy set up front. Their big fullback, Jeremy Johnson, in the backfield. And Rawlings was walked out and knifed in to make that play.
So quick timeout on the field. And here's Eubanks again. They were having issues punting the football. Coach White at practice one day said, hey, can anybody else punt? Eubanks raised his hand and said, I can, Coach. And he's been the guy since. It's been good today. That's not his best effort, but it does get the positive roll down to the 15. And there's a flag around the spot the ball was punted.
Certainly looked like there was some contact of the punter.
Larry Neal still trying to get that mic to work. Maybe it'll come back on for him. It was leaping. You could read the lips. The personal foul is a 15-yard penalty. And Benedict keeps the football. Coach G voicing the displeasure.
After the penalty, first down and 10 for the Tigers on the way. 38-yard line.
So now, Darren, 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Can Benedict take advantage? Get some points on the board before halftime.
Phoenix to the air. That one almost picked. He wanted Arrington, who never really had a chance at it. If you're just joining us and wondering why a 2 o'clock game has 2 minutes to go in the opening half as we approach 7:15. Yesterday, the game was backed up to a 5 o'clock start under extreme precautions for the tropical storm that came through the area. And then as we got close to 5 o'clock, we were within, 15, 20 minutes. The first lightning delay happened, and then 2 more.
Get that boy. Get that boy.
McLeod down maybe for a yard.
1 yard gain on the play by the Tigers. Bringing up a 3rd and 9. Right, Rams fans, this is a big play. We need to hear that 12th man.
Minute and a half left here. One big play was an 80-yard touchdown run. I'd venture a guess that that's almost more yards than the rest of the game combined. Right through the hands of Daquan Bloodshaw. And it's 4th down again.
Well, 3rd and long is not a position you really ever want to be in offensively, but it's even more difficult on days like today with the conditions to try to throw this football. Just makes it extremely difficult to try to execute anything offensively.
Eubanks. Look, that ball had the roll, and it still wouldn't go anywhere. So for the second time today, Albany State inside of its 5-yard line to begin a possession. He's their MVP so far.
He has been their MVP so far. Darren, this ball's on the 1 or 2 yard line here. We saw the safety earlier in the game. Albany State's got to be careful here. I mentioned before, maybe take the safety previously when they were punting up against it, but here with only a minute to go in the half, you don't want to give up the safety in this situation.
It is currently not raining. But the real deluge happened around 3 o'clock, then stopped. The lightning delays occurred when there really wasn't any rain, maybe a light drizzle. And as the teams came out at 5:45, getting set to start, it began to pour. Habersham gets outside across his goal line. And Benedict will take a timeout. I like this call, Mark. Gives them a chance to maybe get 4 on the board.
Well, Benedict hasn't been able to get anything going offensively. Their 2 points have come from the safety. Go ahead and take the timeout here in this situation. We don't want to give up a big long run, but with the field conditions the way they are, we've seen a lot of bad snaps. Difficult to hold on to the football. On the safety that they got early in the second quarter, the ball was actually on the ground and could have been a touchdown for Benedict. So an opportunity here to try to force a turnover or at least put another 2 points up on the board.
Gabe Gardena came from Charleston Southern, where he was the offensive coordinator for some of the best years of Charleston Southern football in the Big South. And they were controlling the Big South for a couple of years, a couple of playoff appearances. Habersham once again to give a little bit of breathing room. And Mike White will take another timeout. So Tigers are out of timeouts. It is third down. And possibly 2 tries to get at him here in the end zone. Mark, if you are Albany State here, do you take a knee?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to be careful because of the 40-second clock. Game clock currently sits at 45 seconds. So you've got to take, make sure you get that 5 seconds off the clock. So I think you do have to hand the football off here as opposed to just go ahead and taking a knee. Not quite enough.
Mark, connect with Division II Athletics on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I know you already have. Follow along, join the conversation as the NCAA promotes national champions in 25 D2 sports. I guess the problem with taking a knee, we haven't seen a snap taken from under center. So you got to first get this snap back to Banu, who's fumbled a few of them thus far. Habersham again into the pile. It's got to be frustrating out there.
Well, offensively, games like this, you're going to be frustrated, especially if you're a playmaker on the outside or even on the running back side of things. It just limits what you can do. But they did enough there to bring this to halftime, Derek.
The interim athletic director, Jacqueline Nicholson, will join us here at the half. We'll talk about Albany State's drive for another SIAC championship game appearance. At the moment, their 4-game winning streak still moving in the right direction because of this run. 80 yards from Habersham. By far, the biggest play of the half. It is 7-2 in your Division II National Showcase.
Treadstone. Stream the premiere episode on demand.
The field tells the story of the first half as much as the score does. 9 points on the board, 1 big play, and the Golden Rams trying to build on what has been 4 consecutive victories. For the second straight year, the Lone Star Conference will host the 2019 NCAA Division II Football Championship. It's December 21st at McKinney Independent School District Stadium. That's McKinney ISD Stadium in McKinney, Texas. Tickets will be available at ncaa.com. Second year that the brand new stadium in Texas will host the Division II Championship after rave reviews last year. Speaking of Division II football, this Division II showcase is at the half. Next week, we will be in Alabama, Livingston, Alabama, as West Alabama hosts West Georgia at 2 o'clock. More at the half. The interim athletic director, Jackie Nicholson, joins us to talk some Golden Rams athletics.
It's good to see you.
You too, Kermit. You too.
Portal from Facebook.
(7-2) our score at the half of the Division II showcase here from Albany, Georgia. And things are going pretty well right now for the Golden Rams athletic department. We bring in the interim athletic director here, Jackie Nicholson. Let's talk football first. The team has won 4 straight games. This roll continues for a couple more weeks, and the SIAC Championship could be played on this field behind us. Exciting times here right now.
Very exciting for us. We're looking forward to finishing out this game, hopefully if we can get through this weather. And we have one away game, big rivalry game next week against Savannah State University. We're expecting a huge turnout and a huge crowd. We get through that game. Then we have Morehouse at home for our last home game, and then Fort Valley State. And these last 3 games will determine our fate in the SIAC Championship, and hopefully we'll be hosting right back here at ASU Coliseum.
Now, you've been in the SIAC Championship the last 2 years. 2 years ago here, you won that championship. What would it mean to get it back in this stadium?
It'll be huge for us. It would be Coach Gardenia's first SIAC championship, so he's looking forward to that. We came up short last year against Miles, so we're really hoping to turn things around and get that win here, and it's something that could change the momentum of the program and recruiting in this area for us.
Sure. Coach Gardenia came from the Charleston, South Carolina area, where he was an offensive coordinator for Charleston Southern. What has he brought here? What impresses you most about him and his staff?
With him, he has that ethic of care. His theme for his team is family, and that's what he focuses around, and making sure he's really loving on these young men and making sure they're prepared for life after athletics. So he focuses and spends a lot of time on that, and spending time with them individually. I know all of these guys go to these coaches' houses on a weekly basis and spend time with their families. If you look on the hill, probably you'll see all of the coaches' wives and their kids running down the hill with no shoes on right now. So that tells you the environment that we're trying to create here for these young men and women, and he's been focusing on that. He's a very offensive-minded coach, so he spends a lot of time on that offense. We went last season without an offensive coordinator, and he stepped in that role, and he still runs a lot of the offense now because that's where his background came from.
Sure. Now we'll get to some of the fall sports, the winter sports, I guess, which are coming up very soon all of a sudden. But first, before we do, volleyball is on a tear. They lead the SIAC East. They've won 5 straight. Tell me a bit about the volleyball team.
Volleyball's off to their best start in almost 15 years. Okay. So we are looking forward to clinching the East Division Championship, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we'll compete the 3rd week in November for that championship with the goal of hopefully making it. We made to the semifinals last year, lost to Kentucky State, so we have to revenge that loss last year. And Coach Graham is a second-year head coach. She spent about 10 years under Coach Skinner, who's now just our head women's basketball coach. She's really grown and taken ownership for that program, and she really enjoys what she's doing, and that group of girls is dedicated and committed to moving that team forward as well.
You just brought up Coach Skinner. The women's team picked 5th in the East. The men's team pitched 2nd in the East. What are you expecting here come SIAC Hoops?
I think everyone on the men's side, let's start there. They're counting us out. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you Coach Gale's coming here. He's turned that program around to turn this into a winning program, something we hadn't had in years. We had our best conference record in 5 years with him last year on the helm, so we're looking forward to a good season as well. We only lost 2 guys last year to graduation, so we have a very young team. He brought in a couple of good freshmen and transfer students, so we're looking forward to moving that group forward. We kick off on the 14th of November, and I think we got Valdosta State for our first game. So we're going to open up with a rivalry on that first weekend. And then the women's side, we open up on the road as well, also in Valdosta for the SIAC Peach Belt Challenge. Right. So we'll be over there as well with them. So we're looking forward to it. Coach Skinner's on the tear. We actually just added up his wins from volleyball, softball, and basketball. He's a little over 1,300 wins as a head coach. So probably one of the most successful coaches at the Division II level across all conferences. So we're looking forward to a good season as well. He has a very senior-heavy team, so he'll be spending a lot of time this year recruiting and trying to fill those gaps as we go into the next season as well.
So now the next step is to figure out where 1,300 plus wins ranks on a national level when you add up everyone's coaching victories.
Yes, so we were literally just looking at that, and we talked about almost at 600 wins in women's basketball, over 400 wins in softball, and over 300 wins in volleyball. So he's had a very, very good career. So something we need to spend more time celebrating him for his longevity here. So probably one of the longest serving coaches too on the Division II level as well.
All right. Well, Jackie, we appreciate you spending time with us here. Good luck finishing this off, finishing the football season strong, and then just running on through hoops.
Yes, thank you. And we appreciate you guys coming out and standing here through the rain with us, and
we're
still
dry.
Broadcasting.
Back after this.
We need to stop it.
Treadstone. Stream the premiere episode on demand.
Opening half highlights, we bring Mark Boerichter back in for us.
Well, Darren, with the conditions the way they are today, you've got to play good defense, and it's going to be a defensive battle. We've seen that here in the first half. We've seen some turnovers with the ball hitting the turf with the wet field conditions over the course of this game. But this blocked field goal right here by Albany State was really the only opportunity for Benedict to score in the first half. And it led to this McKinley Pemberson touchdown run for the only touchdown at Albany State. And when the conditions are the way they are, they need some explosive plays. You're going to get it through the running game. And then here's the 2 points on the safety for Benedict. Kind of unfortunate they didn't jump on that football to make it a touchdown, and we'd be looking at a tie game right now. But as it stands, it's 7-2 here after the first half.
This game was delayed from a start that was already pushed back to 5 o'clock. It has been raining intermittently at times, just absolutely a deluge. In the second half, how can you make adjustments when you know that it will be hard to throw the football? It'll be hard to get any traction on the ground.
Well, I think the good news is most of the rain, I think, is out of the area now. So it's still not going to help you in terms of your footing with the way this field conditions are right now. But I think you've got to just make some adjustments in your running game. Benedict right now has got to take advantage when Albany State only has 5-6 guys in the box. They're just running their linebackers out, but that's their pursuit and closing up the running lanes. Benedict's got to take advantage of that, and Albany State just got to keep doing what they're doing. They like to run the football anyway. They've been successful with it here. Those explosive plays. Benedict's got to get a couple of those explosive plays and then limit the penalties here in the second half. So in terms of adjustments, you don't need to make a whole lot. It is what it is with the field conditions the way they are. You just got to keep plugging along.
See if Mike White can get a huge upset where he is a legend here in Albany, now with the Benedict Tigers. It's an uphill, muddy battle. Second half coming next.
Newest thrill ride. Treadstone, Tuesdays at 10 on USA.
Well, Darren, you look at the first half statistics here, and I want to show you something right here. 0 passing yards. I don't know if I've ever been a part of a game that had 0 passing yards in the first half, but those field conditions have made a major impact on this game. We know Albany State wants to run the football anyway, but Benedict wants to run it as well, but it has completely negated the passing game overall here in the first half.
Do you expect, with the rain mostly dissipating, obviously the ball will be wet, is it going to be easier to throw this half?
I don't necessarily think it's going to be easier, but we may see a few more opportunities where both these teams go ahead and take a shot at trying to throw it maybe off the play action a little bit. The problem with that, even in the passing game here, Darren, with the ball being wet, is we haven't really seen any clean snaps from the center, and that's going to completely throw your timing off from a quarterback standpoint in your passing game as well. I mean, you've got to make sure that you're getting that snap in that shotgun look, and we've seen the miscues all in the first half by both teams in that regard.
Field conditions will only continue to get worse as Draylon Freeman sidesteps the opening tackler and falls down outside of the 20-yard line. So it will be the Tigers here who dominated time of possession but only picked up 67 yards in that opening half. And they are going to go back to their original starting quarterback this year, the senior from Rincon, Georgia, who had a whole week of prep coming back off an injury and who Coach White told us he's the better runner of the two, just trying to shake things up with the freshman Phoenix, but they'll go back to Brown here.
Well, Phillip Brown makes a few more plays with his legs, more of a dual threat type of guy. A little bit more stout at 6'1", 210.
Maybe he can handle the snap just a little bit better because we've seen a lot of Raheem Jennings. He's come into the game, has Brown, and done exactly what they executed in the first half. Handed off to Jennings, goes straight ahead. He's got 31 yards for the game.
I think this is important in drive, and I don't want to overstate it here and make it too big of a deal in the first drive to open the second half for Benedict. But you've got to at least establish and move the football here and move the chains a little bit to give yourself some confidence.
Brown, who's rushed for 240 yards from a positive standpoint. He's not been back down about 100 yards as well. As Jennings picks up about 2 more, it'll be 3rd and long. So the ability is there. He's officially come in with 69 rushing yards because he has lost 171. But that's more on his offensive line. It shows you his ability, the fact that he has gained 240.
Oh, absolutely. He can make some plays with his legs. And this is a big third down right here to open the second half for Benedict.
They were without a third down conversion in the opening half. Straight ahead with Jennings, who spun off that first hit. Even though you can't see it, it is 53 who came in to make that hit. And he's going to be just short of the first down.
That's a nice job by Jennings. She mentioned they're just running straight ISO and up inside. And Jennings with the spin move slid a little bit further closer to the chains, but where he actually went down with these field conditions was a couple yards back. Benedict forced a punt.
If you're just joining us, this is the type of ball game it's been. And Albany State hasn't even attempted to go after a single punt. Every punt that Jordan has even had the opportunity of going at, he has sidestepped or just not retreated to retrieve a ball over his head.
Well, at this point, it's clearly obvious that they've just said, we're just going to get away from every single punt and not try to pick it up with the field conditions the way they are. We've got confidence in our offense to move the football. We're not going to take any unnecessary risks.
8.5 yards a carry. He has an 80-yard touchdown run. And more impressive than the 80-yard touchdown run is the fact that he's got 40 yards aside from that 80-yard touchdown run. Just every inch has been tough to come by tonight. They bluff it up the middle. This ball I thought was a forward pass. They'll rule it a fumble and out of bounds.
Well, I'm really surprised that Albany State's trying to run the option. I know it's one of their signature plays. With the field conditions, they've had a lot of success of just handing the ball off. Really fortunate right there. They were able to knock this ball out of bounds. I think we're going to have a discussion possibly whether that was a forward pass, Darren.
See if we can get a look. Okay, you can read the lips of Larry Neal. So the ruling has now been it's a forward pass and incomplete.
You're going to watch them run an option. And yeah, this ball does go forward. That's a good call by the officials to get together. It doesn't go forward by much. And I'll give my partner, Darren Goldwater, a little bit of credit as well.
Empty backfield now for the first time tonight for the redshirt freshman Banu. And his man goes down. Was Wooten tackled? No. There is no flag. In coverage, Malloyd. Now there is, yes. Didn't see it. There is a flag that has come in. Benedict has been by far the more heavily penalized of the two teams.
Well, this was a late flag from the back judge, but there was a lot of contact on the shallow crossing route.
The expression from Mike White hasn't changed all night. It has been the big poncho, hands crossed, and a expressionless face. So no interference. It is third down. Couldn't read his lips as well that time. His microphone went out in the first half when it was pouring down rain. So it is third down and 10. Junior out of Tallahassee. That's Javon Wooten who was in motion. This is Habersham. Bouncing out to the left side. Habersham spins for the first down. Just kept his feet in bounds and add 10 more yards to the night for the redshirt senior out of Savannah.
Well, a week ago against Miles, Benedict gave up a few plays late in the game on 3rd and long, and here's another one right here. As Haversham had the ability to get outside and get the first down. Benedict, a really strong defensive team, but opportunities start to stack up against you a little bit. Unable to get the job done right there.
First carry of the night here for Fulks. Check it, it's his second. The freshman out of Powder Springs. That nets some positive yards, and that has been few and far between back-to-back plays that have picked up yards for either team.
Yeah, we've seen some chunk yardage plays in the running game all night long, but you're right there in back-to-back first down runs that have gained some really positive yards.
Haven't taken a snap from under center tonight. Banu will keep this one himself, and he will get to the outside. It's a first down and plenty more for Banu as he is inside of Benedict territory. Christopher Reed, the true freshman hometown kid out of Columbia, South Carolina with the tackle.
Well, Christopher Reed is going to want this back as his feet just get stuck in the mud right there. As Banu was able to break his contain, you could tell Christopher Reed was trying to plant to get back to the outside as he read that the ball was given to the back instead of Banu's pull out of that mesh point. Now 3 really solid running plays back to back to back there.
Late give into the belly of Habersham, who can't bounce one to the outside. Was that Bing? 50 sure was. Good to see Bing up and healthy. He was one of a number of Tigers that went down for an injury in the opening half. Albany State is 20th in Division II football, averaging 228 yards a game on the ground. Of course, tonight is a very different story. Tonight is well, I said it in the first half. I think it's really the best way to put it. Battle of attrition. Just who can hang in there the longest. Procedural penalty here on the Golden Rams.
You know, Darren, both of these teams tonight, just when they've started to move the football a few times, have had penalties that have started to back them up. We saw that with Benedict in the first half. They were starting to put a drive together and then had a few penalties that backed them up to third and about 40 to 45 eventually in one scenario. Now Albany State here, after getting off to a really good start on this drive, has the false start penalty.
Banu keeps it. Tigers defense bit on that dive, but on the outside, Robert Cummings with a great open field tackle. Cummings' dad played here at Albany State, and you can say the same about the majority of the Benedict coaching staff.
Robert Cummings, the leading tackler coming into this game for Benedict. He was a preseason all-conference selection. Did a nice job of coming up from his safety position to make that play.
One of the leaders for solo tackles in the conference and in the country, over 6.5 per game is Cummings. Banu to the air, almost a wonderful catch by Habersham, and a flag comes in once again. It'll be Malloy, who almost was hit with a pass interference earlier in the drive. This one, I think, will stick.
Darren, I'm going to tell you, this was a tremendous play by Habersham because he had his man beat on the wheel route. We're going to watch this. Habersham has his man beat on the wheel route, but watch the presence of mind as this ball's underthrown to stop and actually come back into the defender to draw the penalty. It was a great play on the outside by the running back to go ahead and draw the contact going for the football is a little bit underthrown and draw that pass interference penalty.
Methodically moving the ball downfield. By far the best extended drive for either team this game as Banu handles the high snap, but there isn't anywhere to go. It was Christopher Reed in the backfield immediately. Benedict, as we told you, is winless on the year, but they have been in every game, just like they are here. It hasn't been a consistent theme for the reason they have come up on the short end, but a little bit of everything. Depends on the game. And they almost knocked off reigning conference champ Miles last week. Albany State's won 4 consecutive games. They're rolling, unbeaten in the conference. And they just get the snap off. Folks, close to the first down. Or check it, that's back to where the original line of scrimmage would be. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Seeing folks, the mud on his arms. That's why we've seen the ball on the turf, and it's been so difficult to handle. We've seen the centers have a lot of problems tonight with their snaps, with these field conditions.
Set up a receiver screen, which is caught on his feet, lunging down towards the sticks is Ralph Lovett. First grab of the year for the redshirt freshman out of Savannah. And it gives him an opportunity to go for it here on 4th down.
Well, it does. It opens up your playbook. It's short. These conditions, high percentage throws, and these wide receiver screens to the outside are a high percentage throw. It's a great job in staying on his feet. Trevonte Brown didn't wrap up coming in on that hit. Now Albany State's going to potentially go for it here. Watch for them to try to draw Benedict offside as the play clock ticks down.
Golden Rams have taken this play clock down deep a few times on this drive. And now a timeout.
Timeout by Albany State.
Making sure they have the right call here on 4th down and 3. We've seen one kick attempted today, a field goal. That was blocked. And that's the reason why it's a 7-2 game instead of 7-5, potentially. As Benedict got within field goal range and got turned away.
Well, we're in a position and spot right here that you're really in no man's land, Darren, on the field goal side of things. And we'll take a look at the blocked field goal we talked about earlier. It was a 35-yard attempt here in the first half. The penetration inside by Deontay Jackson, really on the second level of the rush, getting his hand up in the kick plane to block the only attempt we've seen so far today.
They're 1 for 3 on 3rd downs. This is Jordan, the freshman, and he lunges, but the final hit from Dontavius Hunt will be enough. It'll be a turnover on downs as the junior, number 23, stuck him 2 yards short.
What a nice defensive stand by Benedict.
Timeout on the fields. It'll be Tigers ball, and we bring you back to ASU Coliseum.
AIDS.
This telecast is presented by the NCAA Division II President's Council. Welcome to NCAA Division II, where the pursuit of excellence is yours to create. In Division II, student-athletes excel academically, athletically, and in the community for life after graduation. The opportunities are endless. Make it yours. A first half that saw 1 combined 3rd down conversion, 0 combined passing yards. And a start from Eric Phoenix, who is back in the game now as the quarterback after Phillip Brown began the half for the Tigers under center. Jennings tries to plant, and instead it's Brendan Kimball who meets him head on.
We've called Brandon Kimball's name a lot tonight. And we still have 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. He plays downhill and fast, and the reaction time of the linebacker looking for contact, in this case, scraping over the top and getting a little bit of help from Jalen Boyd, the corner, as well.
Phoenix, who got his start today because he's the better passer. Maybe to open up the offense a bit, but that really was Sneville able to matriculate. Gives it to his fellow freshman McLeod, and they're still behind the sticks for 3rd and long.
Benedict has just not been able to get anything going offensively, and I'll give a lot of credit to Albany State's defense. Their linebackers have played tremendously well here in this game. Talked about their aggressive and play downhill. You can really pin your ears back as a linebacker knowing that the passing game is not a threat with these field conditions.
Will they try it? No, they come right back at the Golden Rams with McLeod, and will pick up 1 yard on 3 plays and punt it away again. I mean, that shows you, Mark, how tenuous the ball security is out there. The fact that it is 3rd and long and you're not even thinking pass.
Well, you don't really have an opportunity to think pass with these field conditions. I mean, it's really playing into the defense. And you and I talked about this in the first half. You know, slick field, when it's raining, usually it favors the offense a little bit. You know where you're going. But in this case, the elements have completely taken away the passing game for either team in this game.
4.5 to play, just about here in the third quarter. We'll bring you back for the Golden Rams possession on your D2 Showcase.
Treadstone, Tuesdays at 10 on USA.
Back alongside the former NFL receiver Mark Boerichter, I'm Darren Goldwater. That is Henrietta Powell. And something this league, the SIAC, has in many ways led the charge of is diversity amongst really all levels, including their officiating crews. Mark, at one point, had an all-female officiating crew.
Yeah, they really pushed the envelope in terms of diversity and getting females involved on the officiating side of things at the collegiate level, and even partnered with the NFL for some additional opportunities for women officials. And Henrietta is here tonight with us, doing a good job.
They've been busy out there. Guys have been grabbing on for dear life. A couple of holding penalties because of it. A couple of unsportsmanlikes back in the first half. Banu keeps, and it is, I believe, Trevante Brown who got him down there. Number 1. Pickup of about 4, maybe 5.
It's just what the Golden Rams want to do. 2nd and 5. Manageable distances. This rushing offense.
This half, the Rams have taken the play clock down inside 10, in fact, inside 5 a few times. Here they get it off with a little bit more room. Look at Habersham pushing that pile. His powerful legs get him about 2 more yards. 131 now for Habersham on 18 carries.
He's having a nice night, and I know he had the 80-yard touchdown run that really padded a little bit to his rushing total here tonight. But he's had a nice night, really grinding it out, too, in difficult down in distances where he's got to get 2, 3, 4 yards. Willing to stick his shoulder down in there.
Gardena, third-year head coach, said the last couple of weeks, Habersham's really come into his own. Probably even more so today. 3rd and 4. High snap taken in. Wooten taken down. Got a shoulder into him and went thundering down from Amari Andrews.
Well, that was a big hit by Amari Andrews. First off there, and I was really surprised that Albany State went empty here. But did a nice job of finding his receiver over the middle and then taking a big hit by Amari Andrews. You're going to watch him come in from the right-hand side of your screen, lower the shoulder. But a nice job of hanging onto the football, and it moves the chains for Albany State.
A couple of 3rd down conversions in this half for the Golden Rams. And back to the ground for Habersham. The offensive coordinator with the hands bouncing off his visor right there is Adam Hollifield. Standing next to the head coach a moment ago, there he is, Gabe Gardina. Hollifield in large part does call the plays. After last year, it was Gardina who mostly did that. High snap eludes both the back and the quarterback. And the Golden Rams are fortunate to still have the possession. Montavion Brooks just into the game for the first time on that loose ball.
Well, Benedict struggled offensively in this game, Darren. It's 7-2 right here. I know Albany State has the football. What did Coach Mike White say to us? The defense may need to make an extra play. Really may need to step up a little bit. Hey, a turnover right here in this situation and get the ball to your offense at midfield may be the spark they need.
Henrietta Powell making sure that ball is spotted in the right place. They had moved it about a yard forward. She alertly jumps in, moves it back. Back to Habersham, and he is tag team there on the edge. Again, Christopher Reed, the true freshman out of Columbia, South Carolina. In the shadows of Williams-Brice Stadium where the Gamecocks play. That's where Benedict's from.
Christopher Reed really did a nice job. We saw him earlier in this half. Got his feet stuck in the mud. This time was able to get him out of there, scrape over from his linebacker position, and make that play.
It's really easy to say stuck in the mud for a lot of different scenarios. Tonight it's quite literal. Flag in prior to the punt.
Prior to the snap, false start, 39, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Part-time electrician Larry Neal, who fixed his microphone.
Now we're trying to find a football. There we go.
Dangerous return, man. McGreer here. But will he have an opportunity to even try it?
Ball is being lined up improperly. Erected.
The time on the clock is correct.
Nice job. We actually happen to be sharing the booth with the clock operators. Well played. McGreer leads the conference, almost 10 yards per punt return, but will he have a chance? He wants everyone to get away. It almost hit the back of a Tiger, but did it. It can't be advanced if that's the case. I'm not sure if it did.
Well, I did not see a beanbag come out from the official. Normally it happens, but they're going to discuss this. The problem with tonight is this is really hard to see because the ball is taking weird hops and slides, and normally you can just tell, but the ball takes a different spin or bounces one way or the other. Tonight it's really difficult to decipher whether that hit a Benedict player here. We'll take a peek at it. You're going to see the ball come down.
Nope.
I don't think it does. The ball continues to spin the same way. Does not really change directions in that situation. So Benedict's going to get the ball right there at the point where Albany State picked it up.
Nice work by this crew. The league as a whole, the SIAC, it is one that is known for actually...
After discussion, the ball did not touch a receiving team player. The end of the kick, the ball is dead at the spot of the end of the kick.
So the conference, as the officiating crew again gets one right, is known for being one where officials work their way up and through, and that's the goal. You get promoted up to some bigger leagues. And it's been a well officiated game. It hasn't been a cleanly played game, however, and another miscue here. Looked like it hit the leg of one of the pulling guards.
Well, Albany State's trying to say that they've got this football, but it looked to me like Benedict clearly initially recovered this ball. But I think you're right there, and this snap looked like it hit one of the up men.
Illegal snap infraction. Number 59, offense. 5-yard penalty.
Well, that would certainly explain why it looked kind of funky back in there on that snap.
And that's the end of the third quarter. 7-2, our score at the half remains the score after the third in your Division II showcase.
Season's newest thrill ride. Treadstone, Tuesdays at 10 on USA.
The officials again correct themselves while we were at commercial break. The illegal snap infraction, a dead ball foul, meaning it cannot end a quarter. It occurred with 4 seconds on the third quarter clock, so this will be the last play of the third quarter as Phoenix bumps into his own man and then is spun down. That's how the third quarter now officially comes to a close. First time we get to call Malik Barnes' name, true freshman linebacker who has a chance to be a really good one. Now we go to the fourth quarter. Still 7-2 on your D2.
From Facebook.
Albany, Georgia, the birthplace of Ray Charles. That plaza, really a cool memorial to him. There is music playing around the clock right there at Ray Charles Plaza. Get a little soul in you here as you watch some football. Rhythm and blues, it's the best way to describe it.
Very much so. Right outside of our hotel, as a matter of fact.
Alongside Mark Bo Richter right there. Former Kansas City Chief receiver. I'm Darren Goldwater. This is Rashad Jennings. And it has been a lot of Jennings today. That's his 17th carry, although that one goes backwards.
Jalen Bush with authority.
Darren, usually corners don't like to come up and hit. Especially as receivers, we used to like having to block them. They don't like to try to come up and hit. But Jalen Bush just came and laid an absolute monster hit on the outside, and we've seen it on the other end for Benedict with Trevonte Brown.
You can see how little the ball has gotten to the edge. The corners' jerseys are still blue and gold. The guys who are mixing it up, they're filthy. Like right there, the tackle made by Stephen Pierre, the redshirt sophomore, number 30.
The dirty blue defense, Stephen Pierre, bringing up a fourth down and a punting situation for the Tigers.
Fourth down here for the Tigers. trying to claw their way to their first victory of the year. This, just like their previous 5, they're in it. They've got a shot. Albany State looking for its 5th consecutive win after an 0-2 start. And Jalen Bush, who Mark just praised for that tackle, told his coach, I've never seen a team get better through the injuries as much as this team has. As they've done all game, they stay away from the punt, and the Golden Rams will start inside of their 40. Fans, college football is celebrating its 150th birthday this year. It started when students from Princeton and Rutgers competed November 6, 1869. The passion and love for the sport that started that day in 1869 has carried on for generations. College football has provided educational opportunities, inspired future leaders, and enriched our communities. Follow CFB 150 on social media. Visit CFB150.org for more information. Preseason pick to win the SIAC Eastern Division is atop the division right now as Malik Habersham continues his midseason evolution into the go-to guy. He's got 137 yards now.
The Albany State up 7-2 here. It's going to try to run the play clock down as much as they can. Take as much time off the clock. You mentioned this has kind of seemed like a one-sided game that Albany State has really dominated. The fact of the matter is Benedict's just one break away here from potentially leading this football game.
That really is the only difference in the game. Habersham got free and scampered 80 yards. Banu skips out of the attempted tackle of Cummings and picks up the first down as out of bounds inside the 35.
Well, this is a nice job by Banu on the outside. Going to go ahead and pull this. You saw the defense, or excuse me, the linebacker, Collins Tinsley, closed down. Bonnie made the nice job, the nice read to pull that football. And now they've got a first down at the 35-yard line in Benedict territory.
Second biggest play of the day outside of that Habersham run. Banu has 2 solid runs himself. Banu is 35 yards on the ground. He's attempted 4 passes, completed half of them for 11 yards. Mark, I think the Golden Rams would be happy to use every second of the play clock and kill as much time in this game as they can on this drive.
Well, they're certainly going to try to do that. With the score the way it is, as I mentioned, Benedict is right in this game. They just need a break, a turnover, something to go their way. And so Albany State's going to continue to be somewhat aggressive here in the running game, but they're going to use every ounce of play clock, as you mentioned, Darren, to try to take as much time off the clock, because until Benedict proves to them that they can move the ball, they are in control of this game.
Ball security is paramount. Banu undershoots Wooten. You see what
do we know? What do we know? Look, I like the play call in this situation, though. I do. I know they want to take some time off the clock, but you've got the ball at the 34-yard line. Just had a nice run by Banu. The last thing anybody's waiting on is for you to throw the football in this situation. I like the opportunity to go ahead and take a shot right there on second down.
But now it puts him in an interesting spot there for Adam Hollifield, the offensive coordinator. Does he run the ball on 3rd and long, assuming it's 4-down territory, or potentially punting? Or does he go back to the air? It's Banu looking for the edge, and again the true freshman Christopher Reed is the one who chases him down.
Banu on the carry. Goes out of bounds at about the 31-yard line, bringing up a 4th down and about 6 for the Rams.
Well, here it's going to come down to field position. Benedict hasn't been able to move the ball consistently all night. The Golden Rams of Albany State know that. They're going to go ahead and punt this. Try to pin them deep in their own territory. Near what really is, Darren, the cleanest part of the football field down here to our left-hand side to the north. Hasn't been a whole lot of ball played inside the 20 down this way.
Belinas will try and kill one down here, and will do so by bouncing it off the back of one of his gunners. So Benedict's got about 87 yards to go here. 10.5 to play in the fourth. A little bit of information about the SIAC for you, Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. First one in the NCAA with a conference league-wide deal with Nike. We already told you about the outstanding home attendance. Year in and year out leads Division II football. Just tonight wasn't exactly ideal. Grade in academics among the HBCUs, and the first HBCU to sponsor men's volleyball as its 14th sport. Benedict hasn't picked up a single yard through the air. They've got 77 total yards on the ground, and it is the freshman out of Jacksonville, McLeod, who picks up a nice chunk here on first down.
McLeod on the carry for the Tigers. Gain of about 8 on the play.
This is the most positive play Benedict's had in a little bit, Darren, offensively, and I like it. It's a great start on first down. Make this second down and 3. Good 7-yard gain deep in your own territory. Got to get something going here. And with 10 minutes to go in this quarter, you may only get to touch the ball here 2 more possessions depending on what happens. So you've got to make something work here.
Big fullback is in to lead the way, but McLeod goes straight ahead to pick up the first down. A team that had 77 total yards throughout the game to this point gets 12 in 2 plays.
Well, the aggressiveness of the linebackers of Albany State have really negated the running game of Benedict. And really what it comes down to is Benedict's been unable to get off their combo blocks up to the second level. The linebackers are beating them to the hole and really disrupting things.
More of Jalen McLeod spelling Jennings here with fresher legs and more positive yards. You know, Mark, for a team that's 0-5 and has been in every game and for one reason or another hasn't been able to come away with a positive result, this is the type of game that could very well give them their best chance to do it. One mistake, one missed tackle for Albany State could put Coach White's new team, Benedict, now 5th year there, into the end zone for a go-ahead score.
No, it certainly could, and these are the types of games moving in the second half of the season here that really could get you over the hump and get that momentum going.
That's what Mike White said. Hey, if we can win this, that'd be great. But then the question is, can you follow it up with a win? Passes behind Raylan Elzy. Second time he's been targeted.
Well, he had Raylan Elzy open. There was a little bit of contact. Raylan Elzy on his crossing route was trying to avoid the linebacker and actually avoid the contact over the middle of the field. But because of his footing, couldn't get around him. Actually ran into the linebacker and just threw off his route.
The Tigers are without a third down conversion in the game on 10 tries, making them 17 for 77 on the year. Percentage that could use some improvement. Couple of nice blocks, and will it get the spot from McLeod? I think so. This should be the first third down conversion of the day for the Tigers, and it is. Tough running for the true freshman, Jaden McLeod.
Really tough running. You're going to actually pull their center right here around. That's Brian McNeil. Does a nice job of stealing the edge on the pull. The junior leader of that offensive line. We've talked about how young they are. Showing his quickness and getting out to the outside and moving the chains.
Big fullback Jeremy Johnson remains in there, 48. But knifing through to knock him down very quickly, Malik Barnes. Coach Gardenia told us, Mark, he has no idea how good he is. He goes 100 miles an hour any direction he goes.
We're going to watch this right here. We're going to take this ball to the left-hand side, and you're going to see Malik come in and make that play. I believe Coach said he brings a box of hammers.
Yes, he did.
Runs with a box of hammers, and I'm not really sure what that expression means, but he plays 100 miles an hour all the time.
If you're going with a box of hammers, I guess you hit hard. And they've taken some hits from Jennings, who's now back into the game after McLeod had about a handful of carries spelling Jennings. And all of a sudden, these fresh legs. First the freshman McLeod, then back to Jennings. Moving the football here, although it is third down.
It's a big third down to try to keep this drive going. Can you at least get 5 or 6 here to maybe make it 4th and 2 and start thinking about the decision to go for it on 4th?
It's Jennings. Johnson, the fullback, got a block on it, but it didn't matter. The defensive line fights its way through. Elijah Brown, redshirt sophomore from Augusta, puts him down. They're going to kick it away. And something else Mike White told us this week, sometimes the coaching staff has gotten a little aggressive. They need to be patient. Sometimes punting it away isn't the worst case scenario.
But there in 6 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter, you may only get one more possession. You got to try the field position game here, and you have to kick this ball away.
And you know that Jordan won't go after the ball. He hasn't gone after it all game long. Can the Tigers get the ball back? Find a way to win. The home stretch, your D2 showcase is next.
You have to see this. So good. Sorry. What was I saying?
Been tough going out here. It has been a soggy, muddy, torrential rain type of day. Habersham's 138 yards and a touchdown have outgained Benedict College by himself. They have 107 total yards, all of that coming on the ground. And for the Golden Rams, a chance to salt this thing away if they can hold on to the football for the last 5:53.
Something to keep in mind here, Darren, is Benedict has all 3 of their timeouts remaining here in the second half as well.
Habersham flipped over. That was Cummings again. As Habersham's number is all but invisible now on the back of his jersey. He's going to deserve his shower tonight. Ball security is of extreme importance right now for Albany State. Controlling the game, giving up nothing defensively. One mistake can cost him the game here. Habersham pushes his way out to the 20. It'll be third down and a long 8.
This right here is going to be the biggest play of the game thus far. Can Benedict's defense make one more play? Which Mike White said they've got to step it up based on their struggles on offense. Can they make the play right here to get the ball back to their offense, which would be pretty decent field position after a kick?
Albany State will take the play clock inside of 8. Banu with a tough grab on that snap. And he will waltz out of bounds. So the clock will stop, and the Golden Rams will punt it away to the Tigers with 3 timeouts.
Interesting call to try to put that ball in the air on third down. I understand just trying to throw an out route to the outside, a little bit of high percentage throw, but Banu ran out of bounds as well to initially stop the clock, but if you kept that on the ground right there, you may force Benedict to take one of their timeouts.
Bolinas has not had a kick blocked this year. The junior from Guadalupe, Mexico. More whistles here.
I'm not sure what the discussion is happening here in this situation.
Here's your explanation.
The time on the clock is correct. The runner ran out of bounds outside of 2 minutes. By rule, the clock starts on the ready.
Here's the thing with this discussion, that play clock was getting down to about 5 seconds left. Now with the play starting on the ready after the discussion, another 25 seconds or so that Albany State can bleed off the clock here in this situation.
And they'll happily do it. What a roll for Bolinas. Exactly what the Golden Rams needed. Just more than 3 minutes to go for the Tigers offense. 65 yards.
Stream the premiere episode on demand.
See the name on the back of 56 right there, Reveiz. You're allowed to wear a jersey when your dad's the defensive coordinator. Nick Reveiz, his third year on the staff with Gardenia. By the way, Waits in there as well, the co-defensive coordinator. So the defensive coordinators, plural children, having a lot of fun out here now that the rain has stopped. Albany State was picked to win the Eastern Division. Benedict was picked to finish second. Right now there are 3 unbeatens in the East. And if Albany State's defense can hold up here, they would move to 4-0 and atop the Eastern Division standings.
Hey, Golden Rams fans, if you're looking for continued updates.
Well, we mentioned it coming into this game. Winners of 4 straight, an opportunity for them to keep the train rolling down the tracks. Control of the Eastern Division to potentially get back to the conference championship game once again.
And there's Mike White, a legend around here. He was an All-American. He went to 7 Division II playoffs as a head coach. 15-year head coaching career here at Albany State, and you can see how frustrated he is with some of the stoppages. But 15 years as a coordinator, 15 years as a head coach, he really built Albany State into what it is now, and Gabe Gardenia's pretty honest about it. He said, look, we're just here to extend the legacy that was built. Eric Phoenix rears up and fires one incomplete. Jay Boyd, check it, Jones, number 5, the only one who had a chance at it.
Well, miscommunication as Eric Phoenix, their throwing quarterback, is back in the game trying to get this ball to Raylan Elzy, and Elzy broke toward the post. Phoenix thought he was breaking toward the flag. The ball was lucky that this wasn't intercepted. But he's actually got Elzy open on the post inside. If that ball's thrown up the middle, just a little miscommunication. If he throws that ball up the middle, that's a touchdown.
He's gone for Elzy a couple of times. Tigers still without a single yard passing. Jennings goes hard into Brendan Kimball, who has been a force at inside linebacker today, and brings up 3rd down at about 7 for what is guaranteed to be 2-down territory.
Well, this play looked like it was out the gate for a 1st down there. Brandon Kimball coming from the backside with the pursuit. Ran right by the offensive lineman to make that tackle.
Mark, I said guaranteed 4-down territory. It's not. With 3 timeouts, you could still play the field position game.
You certainly could.
A lot will depend on the result of this play. Pressure coming at him, and it is Draylon Freeman who stumbles at the 40, well short of the first down. They are 4 yards shy. And I think Benedict, yes, they will. They'll take one of these timeouts now, making me believe, Mark, they're probably going to go for it here, taking this timeout to figure out best case scenario.
I mean, mathematically, you could kick it off, or excuse me, you could punt it and hope to get a couple stops, but you're not going to get the ball back with much time on the clock at all. Maybe your best opportunity here. The other thing with that, Darren, is Albany State has not tried or even attempted to return a punt all night long.
The only victory for Benedict in this series history, this is the series history since football was brought back at Benedict in the mid-90s, was 2 years ago, ironically. It was 17-12. That was the year that Albany State won the SIAC. And it was also the year that Benedict, led by Mike White, came in here and beat them. 2 minutes to play. This becomes the most important play of the game. Can you pick up this first down? For the year, they've converted 3 out of 8 fourth down tries. They need the 44.5. And this one almost blown up in the backfield. Ball squirts free. And it's the defense of the Golden Rams that takes the turnover and in the process likely secures the game with 1:54 to play. And you know who it was who got it? It was Derek Davis.
Watch, there's an issue on the exchange a little bit, and you saw right there, Davis makes the play in the backfield. He's the guy they're trying to read, but does a nice job of attacking the mesh point. Don't come too shallow so the quarterback pulls it. You just go right at him. A little confusion. The snap wasn't handled cleanly from the get-go. Able to force the turnover on fourth down. We've got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after the play.
Against
the
Albany
celebration
State.
Penalty.
There's also the play is a chain of possession. Albany State ball. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 91, Albany State. 15-yard from the end of the run. First down. That is number 91. First,
Derek Davis,
conduct foul,
who recovered that fumble, who gets the unsportsmanlike. The interesting thing about Derek Davis, 91, he's got a brother on the team also named Derek Davis, who's number 81. He's a tight end. This 91 is Derek, D-E-R-E-K. 81 is Derek, D-E-R-I-K. And the coaching staff uses totally different names to differentiate the two of them as Habersham rolls forward. See if Benedict uses their timeouts here. If they haven't called one yet, Mark, it'd be surprising at this point to see him call one now.
I think they're waiting. They only have 2 left. Call one here after second down. You can call one after third down, hopefully.
But in the meantime, you've lost 40 seconds.
Exactly.
Nothing fancy for Habersham. Wrapping it up with 2 hands, and Mark, you're on it. Timeout called with 55.5 seconds left to play.
You think they throw the ball like just once, every once in
You gotta,
just to keep them honest?
like the timeouts, with the ball the way it is, the field the way it is, anything's possible with one of these snaps or one of these carries. I think it's pretty impressive that Albany State hasn't put one on the ground.
It really has been phenomenal that we haven't seen more of that here in the second half. Now, I know the rain tapered off from what it was absolutely downpouring from the first half, but yes, here's the thing. This game is 7-2. A fumble return for a touchdown wins it for Benedict.
Yep.
A lot is on the table yet here. We just saw a turnover by Benedict on 4th down. The problem with the mesh exchange and the ball being slippery and muddy. Anything could potentially happen here.
Golden Rams have only lost one fumble this year. Habersham, this one's going to depend on the spot as to whether or not it's a first down. It is very close. And no timeout has been called as of yet. The spot will be short. And still no timeout. This would seem to be the ideal spot here, Mark, wouldn't it?
I know it was close. As soon as you can tell that the ball was close, you want to call timeout. You've got one left.
So it'll be Albany State that can call a timeout here right now. And now they can take their final snap and come very close, at least, to running out this clock, depending on how long the play can run. But quite an odd development right there after calling the timeout after 2nd down, not to call it after 3rd.
Well, certainly it's an interesting strategy not to use your final timeout situation, but if you're Albany here, all you've got to do is snap this ball and try to run the clock out. Now, the field conditions make it a little more difficult to do that, but stick with it. Go to your highest percentage play. Maybe put the ball in the hands of your quarterback on just a quarterback follow, right or left. You know it's going to take 4 seconds and end this ball game.
You could almost run backwards for 4 seconds and then just slide down.
I would suggest that. I would have normally said that too, but with the field conditions being the way they are, you don't know. So they're probably going to keep this ball exactly.
Or he'll heave one downfield, and that's the end of the game anyway. So an 80-yard first-quarter touchdown run from Habersham stands up in a game that was virtually impossible to move the football. And the Golden Rams have won their 5th straight. They're 4-0 in league play. And they control their own destiny towards hosting the SIAC championship game right here after a tough-fought, muddy, Division II showcase. So the way that this game ended, Mark, they had an opportunity with 4 seconds left to do anything they chose to kill 4 seconds. And we apologize for the technical issue, the last play of the game. You can tell here Albany State has won it. And the last play was straightforward. Even.
Well, this is a strategy that a lot of teams implement at the end of the game like this. I was surprised that they were going to go ahead and try to put the ball in the air, though, with the situation. But you just roll your quarterback out. You send 2 guys down the sideline. You make sure he throws it out of bounds. It's not intentional grounding. Number 1, he's outside the pocket. Number 2, you got guys down the field, and you're able to kill 4 to 5 seconds.
Not surprising. The man who's our player of the game is Habersham. What a day for Habersham. Division II gives student athletes the unique opportunity to compete in the classroom, on the field, in their community for their causes, most importantly on their terms. NCAA Division II football, make it yours. And Habersham with an 80-yard touchdown run in the opening quarter wins the game essentially on that one and has almost 75% of his team's yards.
Well, he had a tremendous day. 27 rushes, close to 150 yards, a touchdown, average 5.5 a rush. Of course, the big one, as we're watching right here, was really the game winner, as you mentioned. 80-yard touchdown run. With the field conditions the way it was today, it took one big explosive play in the running game to win this football game.
He had 71% of his team's yards, getting 143 yards there on the ground. What a night for Habersham as this team wins, knocking off its legendary former coach. Next week, the Division II Showcase heads to Alabama, where West Alabama hosts West Georgia in a showdown in the Gulf South Conference. This game certainly affected by what was the remnants of Tropical Storm Nestor, pushed back to 5, delayed till close to 6 because of lightning. The field was a mess, and a first quarter touchdown eventually wins it. For Mark Boerker and our entire crew, great job today in tough conditions. I'm Darren Goldwater. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.